Hey everybody, this is Tulip.
And this is Cassidy.
And we're here with another episode of the good news, the gospel according to AMC's Preacher.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
We're back in hell.
Right, thank goodness.
Right?
This is hell, act accordingly. Actually, I'd like to tell you, Count Chocula can suck it.
I liked Count Chocula better.
I did too, actually. I kind of liked all those.
Smurf berries were the best, though. Like, if you were to
God.
go, like, if it was between Boo Berry and Smurf berries, it was Smurf berries all the way.
That's so funny. I don't remember Smurf berries at all. I mean, I kind of vaguely sort of think they happened at one point in time, but...
What was the last children's cereal you think you ate?
Well, do you mean as a child or as an adult?
As an adult. Like, it's been years since I've, like, trolled that part of the cereal aisle. I've been eating all the adult granola crap for years now, but...
I have to tell you, Apple Jacks are my kryptonite.
I think mine was either Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops. I can't decide which one I think was my last one. It was either Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops.
Nick recently made some Rice Krispie Treats featuring Fruit Loops.
Oh, I've been craving Rice Krispie Treats for some reason.
Well, there you go. You'll have to spice them up with some Count Chocula or some Fruit Loops.
I did not even realize that they still, like, sold Count Chocula and Boo Bear. I thought those were, like, of a bygone area, like, that millennials will never get that joke.
Oh, no. I think they do. I think they will.
That's funny. Tells you how
right.
much I have paid attention.
Well, so we're talking about Holes, which is season 2, episode 8.
Yep.
And since we're talking about Boo Berry, I'm just going to say it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 boxes of Boo Berry.
I was the same rating, 3.5 Zagnuts.
Now, what on earth are Zagnuts?
Apparently what you eat in hell.
Oh, is that what was in the vending machine?
Yes, so I have this weird thing about Zagnuts that we'll get into later.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I'm just like, really, why Zagnuts? So, yeah, we both gave it a 3.5 sugary substance.
Right. And I think we both kind of agreed before we signed on tonight that it was another middle book.
Right.
We're kind of stuck in middle book land right now.
But we're back in hell. I mean,
we are back in hell, and that was good.
Yeah, I wanted to rate it higher, but the rest of the episode it was a lot of building.
Yeah. The stuff with Jesse was actually my least favorite. I really liked the stuff with Dennis and Cassidy.
Okay, I am on the same page as you then. Yeah.
So, I just have to say that we're torturing cavemen in hell now.
Ugh. Why are cavemen in hell? Is that whole bullshit about, like, because you weren't saved, because no one ever told you that there was a god that you went to hell that you, like, didn't even know existed? There's got to be a loophole for that. That's BS.
I don't know, man. I mean, I just was defending on our link earlier this week that, Preacher is unfair to every religion, so maybe they're unfair to spiritual cavemen as well. I want to say before we get too deep, Sarah Palin did in fact hate tweet Seth Rogen over what for us is an upcoming episode. I think other people have probably watched it already.
Right.
And 1 Million Moms is now trying to get Preacher canceled.
Turn the other cheek, ladies.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the Bible says? Pretty sure it's in there somewhere.
All I have to say is if you're not down for a little blasphemy, you're watching the wrong show.
Yeah, just keep scrolling, turn the channel. Like, there are way worse other things out there to be offended by than, a fictional TV show.
I am sure there is another episode of Alaskan Bush People that you can tune into.
Or try and worm your way on. Being coming from two Alaskans being hate tweeted by Sarah Palin is a badge of honor.
It really is.
It's just really too bad she hasn't been relevant since 2009. So I was actually gonna print Seth Rogen a T-shirt that said I was hate tweeted by Sarah Palin on the front, and on the back it said, "Too bad she hasn't been relevant since 2009."
Oh, no, 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 no. I think even better. Let's send him one that says I was hate tweeted by Sarah Palin, and let's send him one with our logo on the back.
Ah, that would be awesome.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, we got a couple of cool T-shirt printing places here in Juneau,
Yeah.
so I'll have to see what they can come up with.
I will, I'll throw down for that. That would be too cool.
So hopefully by the time this episode is posted, we will have a couple of extra followers here. I have boosted a post, and we've got some interaction on our Facebook page.
Yeah, it's been really great. So.
Yeah. So anyone out there with a Facebook page, I recommend boosting a post every once in a while. Spend the $10.
Unless it's like your personal page and you really don't want that many people seeing it.
Yeah, no, that's me. My personal page is my personal page. I'm very quiet on it, very non-controversial.
You know,
that's what my Twitter page is.
I was just gonna say, I find that I'm more honest on Twitter these days.
Yeah, because I don't go by my real name on Twitter.
Which is just the opposite for me, but that's all right.
I only have 2 people that I know following me. I have some random comedian in like LA or something that follows me. I have no idea why.
That is hilarious.
I posted something on Chrissy Teigen's page, and I posted something on Camille Nanjiani's page. So he may have found me funny there or something. But yeah, I go by a pseudonym on my Twitter, and I can rant about people who are on my Facebook page, like coworkers and stuff.
All right, back to Preacher.
Okay,
so the numbers were grim again. I don't think it's 1 million moms that's going to get Preacher canceled. I think it's Preacher's numbers that are going to get Preacher canceled.
Well, obviously, 1 million moms are not watching Preacher.
Right? Or
maybe the ratings would be way up.
Maybe it's just 1 million moms, because it was 1.153 million for same-day viewing of this episode, which aired on August 7th.
Yeah, that's 1 million moms plus us and our fans. Our
right.
fans. Yeah.
So it was beat out by Teen Mom 2, but it was ahead of Sean Hannity.
Oh, yay!
And once again, just to kind of put it in perspective, Game of Thrones had over 10 million watchers. So...
Yeah. Okay, Diane doesn't watch Game of Thrones, so she just doesn't know. Like, there is a reason... I just watched the season finale of Game of Thrones, and last
all
3
of the
episodes...
GOT people in my life are freaking out.
Yeah. There's been nothing in my news feed other than Hurricane Harvey and Game of Thrones. It's a very weird mixture.
Oh, by the way, I do want to say that, and I think I'm going to go ahead and share this to the Preacher page, because it's not political per se, but I found a couple of nice articles about different places to donate to if you want to support people in Texas. And people are really suffering in Texas. So if you've got a couple of extra bucks, throw some their way. Even $5 makes a difference.
It is not over yet either.
No.
I mean, those people are still in for a battering as of the date that we're recording this.
In fact, I was watching the news before I came in, and they said they're expecting another at least 20 inches of rain in Houston.
Yeah. So what I had read this morning was that Hurricane Harvey's been downgraded to a tropical storm, but it is headed back out to the Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of Texas, and
probably Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, it's right on the Gulf.
It's gonna pick up some steam again, being over water with the warm air and the warm water, and it's going to pick up more moisture, and it's headed back over land, and they say it's going to hit around the New Orleans area. So
that's really scary.
It is.
So, you and I have both alluded to our political leanings, and I won't get too deep into those, but, I think we all can agree that we're living in pretty divisive times right now. And I just heard a really good Buddhist podcast, and the woman who was doing the teaching said, we all just need to love harder. So,
Absolutely. And you know that if there's one thing that brings this country together, it's disasters. I mean,
that sounds
and
so morbid.
it's no, it sounds morbid, but you know, people when we have a collective goal like this, you know, to help people who are in need, the other crap just falls away.
Well,
You know,
and that's kind of where I was going. So love a little harder and throw some money at Texas or New Orleans if it looks like New Orleans gets hit again.
right, right. I think you can probably just donate to the Red Cross if
Yeah.
you don't know where you want to put your money. You can text 9099, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find
I was
that.
going to say, I think I'll just try that right now. Let's see what happens when I
Yeah,
text 909.
90999. Text Harvey to 90999.
Here we go. You said
And then,
90999
yep, three
and the
nines.
word Harvey.
Yep. So, yeah. And, you know, I kind of had a very selfish thought about the Preacher podcast earlier today, and that they are set to film season 3 of Preacher in New Orleans. And I don't know what that will do to filming if New Orleans is faced with more catastrophic damage again.
Right.
Because, you know, I mean, there are some areas of Louisiana that still haven't recovered from previous storms. So,
Well, you know, and not even so much being selfish about Preacher, but thinking about the film industry in New Orleans. I mean, it's probably not a huge ticket item, but this show is contributing to the economy of New Orleans.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
all right, enough. I've been to my therapist today. We talked about Hurricane Harvey. I think I need to talk about hell.
Hell is so much fun.
Hell is so much more fun. All right,
It is.
let's talk about the title first. So the title is Holes. And I was realizing I was doing some reading and doing some prepping yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, the hole, the hell hole.
Is that the only one you got out of it?
Well, no, and then of course
Okay.
Preacher, or not Preacher, of course Tulip patching the holes.
Okay, yeah.
Which I
So
think
those-
was actually symbolic of her trying to fix herself and trying to fix her own damage around the gunman, the cowboy.
yeah, yeah, she's trying to patch things up in more ways than one.
So what else did you find any other holes?
No, it was just the hole in hell.
Well, and when I read Hellhole, I was like, oh my God, how could I be so stupid? How could I have missed that?
Yeah, so those are the two that I got out of it too. I tried to find deeper meaning, but it fell flat. So, I mean, this one was pretty spot on with patching the holes and then the hole in hell.
Right. This place is a real hellhole. A real hellhole. Well, let's see. Our writer was a guy named Mark Stegman, and he actually is an Emmy-nominated writer. He wrote for Scrubs. He was also a producer for 6 episodes of this season, but it's the only one that he's written.
Okay.
And he's worked on a bunch of stuff. The couple of things that I wrote down that I recognized were Scrubs and Raising Hope.
Yeah, I've watched a few episodes of Scrubs, but yeah, not really my thing.
Yeah, I don't watch much medical stuff because I live it. But
Yeah, but Scrubs is a funny medical one.
right.
Yeah. So,
Oh, and I have to tell you the funniest thing. So I do look at the Preacher Wiki for like looking at the synopsis of the episodes, and the tagline on the Preacher Wiki currently is "Property of Grail Industries."
I love it.
Let's see. Our director, and I think we've seen this name before, Maja Vrivilo. I don't know if I'm
Yes.
saying it right. So she has been a director on Gotham, on Hawaii Five-O. She's got a whole bunch of editor credits. She's got a producer credit, and she's only got this one preacher credit, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
So it looked like some of her old credits, I'm assuming it's a her, were actually in like some sort of Eastern European language, but there was not a bio where I could figure out where she was from.
Right.
Then who did you think for featured cast, or did you pick anybody for featured cast?
Actually, I did not pick anybody for featured cast. Did you have someone picked out?
Well, I decided to pick Amy Hill, who is the woman who plays Miss Mannering in Hell.
Oh, yes.
So
Have we not done her?
no, we haven't. So she is really interesting. She is Japanese, Finnish, and American. That's her descent. She was born in 1953 in Deadwood, South Dakota. And she actually has really, really hazel eyes. So it said on her IMDb that when she's in roles where she has to appear more Asian, she always wears dark contact lenses.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
And she's got a whole bunch of credits, TV and film. Her
Yes.
first credit was in 1984. She had the role of a street vendor in a TV series called Partners in Crime.
I would say that's a little bit. I was born, but I don't think I was watching a lot of that kind of television.
Well, I was
So.
13 or 14, and I definitely wasn't watching that kind of television.
But it's funny because she was in one of my favorite TV series of all time. She only had two episodes credited to her.
Oh, yeah, which was that?
Night Court.
Oh, God, that's really funny. That was one of the things that I wrote down.
I remember like staying up late and watching that on one of the channels here in Alaska in 1988. You know, we had like 15 channels or
Right.
something. And yeah, I love that show, and I think it's, she's in so much. I mean, she's one of those people you're like, I know her from something, and then you go and look at her IMDb page and you're like, oh, she was in Growing Pains and in Living Color and it's Singles and All American Girl and That's So Raven, and just like a ton of stuff.
I think she's one of those people who always has work.
Yes.
You know, it may not be big stuff, although she did, she was in Lilo and Stitch. She was one of the main voices in Lilo and Stitch.
Well, and she was in 51st Dates.
Yes, she was, and I remember her in that. I wouldn't have been able to peg her until I looked at her IMDb, but I remembered her from that.
And she's got like some Hawaii Five-O credits and stuff like that. So I think she's got like, she can do that whole I'm Asian or I'm like Pacific Islander, or
Right.
I think she probably has a couple of roles where she played like a Maria, where it was like, oh, maybe she's, Mexican or like Guatemalan or, so she's kind of that where she can fit in anywhere she needs to.
She can blend.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. I was going to say something else and now, totally off topic, totally off Preacher, still related to AMC. If we've got any Walking Dead fans listening to this podcast, listen to the episode of The Nerdist that was released last week. Michael Cudlitz is on it, and he was freaking awesome. It was like an hour and a half of Michael Cudlitz, and it was amazing.
Huh. I gonna go off topic too. So I went to an evening with Stan Lee.
Oh,
the other
yeah,
night.
I saw that.
Yes. So what it was they were raising money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it was basically just, let's parade a whole bunch of big stars and writers and comic book contributors and things like that out, in front of an audience, and we're going to live cast it to a whole bunch of other theaters around the country and around the world.
Which is how you got to see it, right?
Right. Chris Hardwick hosted it, and they just talked about how great Stan Lee was and how he was so inspirational and he's such an amazing person and, all this other things. So it was basically them just blowing smoke, and Stan Lee is so funny and endearing, and he just rolls with it, and he's like not like he plays the guy who's not modest at all, and he's so amazing, especially for a 94-year-old man. But I won an autographed copy of his book.
Right, I saw that.
Yes, I'm so excited about it. But they had I'm blanking on his name, who plays Merle on
Merle. Michael Rooker.
Yeah, they had Michael Rooker come out, and I guess Stanley and Michael Rooker are just BFFs.
No, that's hilarious.
And they met on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
There you go. That makes sense.
And those two together, I mean, that should just be a buddy cop movie. Like, they should just do something together. They're so funny. So it was amazing to see, there's Merle and Stan Lee. But yeah, so my local theater, we have a little, she does 35 millimeter movies, and she does all the movies that don't come to our two larger theaters, which are all the indie films and the ones that are nominated for 12 Academy Awards, but they don't make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. She shows them, and it's the Goldtown Nickelodeon here. And she's actually friends with the person who was producing it. So it wasn't.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it wasn't going to any theater that had less than 350 seats, and her theater holds 90 people. And so she actually was able to get in on it because she was friends with the person who was doing it. So
that's super cool. Little tiny Juno.
Yeah, I feel very, very fortunate. It's funny. I live in a capital city, but we just don't get stuff like that here because we don't have the population. So yeah, so that was
really neat.
Yeah, so that was part of my AMC universe thing too.
Well, with that, we can launch into our good, right? Our gospel, our good news. So what was yours?
We're back in hell.
Did you have a favorite part of hell?
So I just most of it, since when did you have to, in hell you can get tattoos still. Did you see that big Tracy tattoo that he had?
I loved it.
That was so crazy. And he's getting all Eugene's getting all ripped, and
yes.
Yeah, it was just, that was so great to me. And I find it very, very funny that in hell we are still burdened with our human faculties, that we still have to eat and go to the bathroom and
apparently wipe our butts with duct tape.
I was like, okay, would I rather wipe with duct tape or would I rather just not? I don't know.
Both are utterly horrifying propositions.
Right? I mean, is there laundry regularly? But apparently in hell, we still have to deal with our normal human functions. And so, we have to provide our own food, and it's only Zagnuts.
So are you going to tell us about Zagnuts?
So, I was like, why Zagnuts? Because Zagnuts are one of those old-timey candies that you really don't see people I'm going to go get a Zagnut. It's always Snickers or Oreo, a Reese's or something. Zagnuts have been around forever, and I guess that what I remember it from, what it sticks out in my mind is it was in the movie Beetlejuice.
Really?
Yeah, Beetlejuice was always had a Zagnut, or there was just a lot of representation of Zagnut in the movie Beetlejuice, and I'm like, that's really weird. So I I was like, so what's up with Zagnut? And apparently, it's a very niche market, but there has been a resurgence of the popularity because Zagnut doesn't have any chocolate in it. It won't melt, so we can ship it to place our troops in like Iraq and Afghanistan. So
Huh.
yeah, and it's actually been in a whole bunch of movies. There's been a lot of references to it in. Uh, there was a John Candy movie. I mean, it's all over. Like, it's very, very weird that like a bunch of movies and television reference Zagnut all the time.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally would not have caught up on or caught that. I totally
So
would have.
there's got to be an inside joke with the like Seth Rogen and his crew that they like maybe they hated Zagnut or something, and that's why Hell only serves either that or maybe because it has no chocolate, it won't melt in Hell. Like I don't know. There is a reason why there are Zagnuts in Hell, and I want to know.
Did you look it up?
I can't find any reference to it.
Oh,
Like I mean,
funny.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we'll have to write a letter to Seth when we send him his T-shirt.
Yeah, you have to give me the inside scoop on Zagnut.
Yeah.
But don't send me any because I don't have any chocolate in it. My candy mostly has to have chocolate in it, as well as my Count Chocula.
I think you nailed it. I think it's because it can't melt in hell. So, although it makes sense to torture people that you would want a chocolate candy bar that was melted and gooey and horrible.
Right? Right? But yeah, so like I don't know where people are getting quarters in hell that, you can't get anything but Zagnuts, but you got quarters for the vending machine. So yeah, I'm just very stoked to be back in hell and just all the little funny things that happened in hell.
It was good. Hell was a
Yeah.
good part of this episode.
Yeah. So what was your good?
Well, so mine was the relationship between Cassidy and Dennis. And I really loved the opening with Cassidy singing to the infant Dennis in the nursery.
Yes.
I thought that
I
was
love that too.
awesome. And then I'm going to use one of Kirk's favorite words, the juxtaposition of Cassidy taking care of Dennis at the end of his life when he's elderly and ill. I thought that just seeing Cassidy in both of those roles was really cool.
Yeah, and the Cassidy and the whole when he's singing to the baby, he's like, "I'm gonna be the best dad," blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and then of course it turns out he wasn't. So I think that's where we go in the end, that he grants his wishes.
Well, and it was so incredibly sad and so incredibly sweet. And it just goes back to the conversation that we had around Cassidy being not human, but the most human in our whole group.
Yeah, yeah,
So, still loves me some Cass.
yes, absolutely.
Well, so what was your Job?
So that is a perfect segue into my Job, in that I had a really hard time with watching Dennis be so terminally ill.
Mm-hmm.
I think I counted at least 24 medications that they pictured between his bedroom and the bathroom, and then the scenes of him vomiting blood and sitting on the toilet. I mean, that just it hurts my heart, to see people like that, and I am absolutely for assisted suicide when people are terminally. I would rather go with dignity than wind up vomiting blood while I'm sitting on a toilet and having somebody have to help me, and just it's a really hard thing to watch somebody basically dying very, very slowly in front of you. And I think that's between that and Cassidy's guilt. I think that's where we're headed with Dennis, in that I think one of two things is going to happen. He's going to turn Dennis, which I think is what's going to happen. He's going to turn Dennis, or he's going to smother Dennis with a pillow.
Oh. It's one of those things. I guess I have to say that I've seen it happen so many times professionally. I've watched people, it sounds horrible, but I've watched people suffer and die like this in a professional capacity. And there's part of me that's always relieved for people when their suffering is over. But
Right.
there's also another part of me now that kind of looks at it from a Buddhist perspective. I haven't taken vows. I'm just studying with a Buddhist group, but I think about, okay, what are we supposed to learn from this, and what's the suffering of being a human being, and what is this lesson of living in a human body? So I kind of look at it with both eyes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, the ultimate thing is it's very hard to watch someone suffer like that. And I, here we go getting political again, but I definitely support the idea of people being able to die with dignity and die in peace and not in pain.
Right. Right. I mean, I looked at all of those. It was so real to me that, like, looking at all those medications, I'm like, one, what is Dennis dying of? I mean, cancer, lung cancer. Like,
So they
did
said
we
it was
figure that out?
congestive heart failure.
Okay.
So basically his
So,
heart is big and floppy and just isn't pumping blood the way that it's supposed to.
and so 2/3 of those medications are for the side effects. They're for the medications treating what's actually ailing him. Like,
Well, not entirely. I mean, as someone who prescribes those medications, I wouldn't go quite that far. Maybe one or
oh,
two of the bottles, but not 2/3.
yeah, he needs some anti-nausea pills, that for one. I mean,
Well, he needs some Ben and Jerry's and some dope.
right, right. Oh,
Which
that's
pretty
just,
much tells you what my assisted suicide plan is going to be.
we've had a number of I've had a lot of, they're not my friends, but like, if I go to their Facebook page, I have like 11 friends in common with them. And so they're friends of friends. We've had like a bunch of them die recently. I'm like, I'm not middle aged yet. I would not consider myself middle aged, but I have a lot of friends that are much older than me, and they're getting to that age where their friends are starting to, like, randomly drop dead of heart attacks at 42, things like that. We just had a woman die of an asthma attack, and I have
Oh,
asthma, so
that's
that's
horrible. Oh.
that's yeah, that hits home with me. And so there was somebody who, it was one of those where it was like they were diagnosed with like some end stage cancer, and they were dead in like 3 months. It was just like they didn't feel well. They went to the doctor and they were dead in 3 months. And it was, it was one of those where they got the diagnosis and everything. And, it was like, well, we could do all of this stuff for blah, 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 and maybe. And I'm like, you know what? I've got some good money in my retirement accounts, and the house is worth some money, and I would just cash it out and go sip Mai Tais in Aruba until it ends. Like, I looked at Dennis sitting in that crappy apartment, in New Orleans,
With bullet
and
holes in it.
watching TV, just waiting to die. And it hurt so bad to do that I really hope that Cassidy does turn him and that he lives a little.
Well, I'm going to get a little Neil Gaiman-y with you. I'm going to quote some Neil Gaiman. You get what anybody gets. You get a lifetime.
Yep. Yep.
Gah.
Amen. Amen.
Well, my job was just that we've gotten to this middle part of the season and it's just still so uneven. I mean, I was so excited about the early episodes, and we've had some really incredible episodes this season, and I just feel like the last couple have not held my attention the way that I would like them to.
Yeah.
Like this one, I actually tried to rewatch it for our podcast, and I didn't rewatch it.
Did you only watch it once?
I watched it 1.5 times.
Okay. Okay. Diane and I have been pushing this podcast off. Like, it was, I canceled, and she canceled, and I canceled again.
And then
So,
I canceled again, didn't I?
So, I'm not sure, but
We've been bad.
so it was one of those where I have watched it twice, but I watched it like the second time like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm relying a lot on my notes. So, yeah.
Well, so what was your revelation?
The hole in hell.
The hellhole.
Oh my God, that made me feel so squicky. It was, I was like, okay, Eugene, it's his hell again, where, he's back in Tracy Loach's room, but then things go differently for him. And they awkwardly sing to each other, and she's like,
And
I
why
want
did
you
they pick
to.
that particular song? Why do you think
I
they? I actually really liked that song when it came out,
I
so I was a little horrified.
I do too, but it was a little too Glee-ish for me. And I know you
Yeah,
like
I
Glee.
love Glee.
I'm not a Gleek. So, uh, yeah, I would just, and then Preacher coming out and Tracy and
uh,
Preacher, and like that was just so squicky for me
it
that
was
it
pretty
was
gross.
it was hard to handle. It was
Yeah.
really hard to handle.
Well, so they mentioned the extrapolator.
Yes.
Did you catch that? And I was like,
Yes.
oh, the extrapolator magnifies your hell and makes it worse.
Yes, it extrapolates like what your not your worst moment, but your worst possible moment.
Right, or your worst fear about your worst possible moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, yeah, that was a little tough to watch.
I agree.
Yeah. So what was yours?
Well, mine was that Hitler knows that Eugene doesn't belong in hell.
Okay.
And, it was just the fact that he probably has always known that. And his little moment where he's like, okay, so let's escape from hell. Or is he just proposing that he helps Eugene escape and he stays?
Okay. I was thinking, do we trust Hitler? And that is a weird thought.
Right.
But do we trust Hitler? Is he really going to help Eugene, or is he going to exploit Eugene?
Well, so I was wondering what he gets out of it. Because obviously he's not the person who doesn't belong in hell, right? So
Right.
so what does he get out of helping Eugene escape? I think what he really gets is that he gets his comfortable private hell back.
I see, and I think that he wants to escape hell with Eugene.
Ooh. Now what are we going to do if Hitler's running loose on the earth again?
Right?
I'm not going to say anything political right now.
I know, like I don't know. I don't know if he could do it. I mean, like I don't think he could do it again. I think it just for this just him. Like somebody else could totally take his place and do it. But like I don't he was very charismatic, and that's what that shuttled him to the top, and he was able to, kill 6 million people. But I don't think he would survive in this type of environment now. He would not be savvy enough with modern day
I don't
technology and interaction.
I don't know that I believe that.
You think he'd hook up with some small band and start, that understood stuff and started growing from there?
I'm not sure that I would say he wouldn't be savvy enough to do it in this day and age, but so looking at the way that this character has been portrayed and having that grief, goodness gracious, that brief glimpse of his hell, I almost wonder if he isn't just going to try to go back and live what he would have lived as a vegetarian artist had he not become the political force that he was.
So, and that was my other thought, is maybe he is going to help Eugene escape hell and somehow overthrow the leadership in hell, because he was given the run of the place before and he enjoyed things that he wouldn't, he basically ruled in hell. And does he want to escape hell? Does he want to go back to ruling hell? Is he genuinely just trying to help Eugene?
I think we both agree that that's not the case.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he has an ulterior motive. I just don't know what it is. Um, but is he really going to help? I mean, like, is helping Eugene a bug, but not the feature? Like, will that just be like, okay, I helped this kid, but I got what I wanted, or is he really like, you know, if it came down to brass tacks, would he's like, if it came between what he wants and helping Eugene, which would he choose? Is Hitler a good guy in hell? That's I want to know.
Uh, nah. I think he's still self-serving.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
I know it's so weird to talk about Hitler in these terms, but this is what Preacher does to you. And maybe if a million moms had been watching Preacher, previously, they'd have a bunch of other stuff to complain about.
Right?
Yeah. None of them saw the episodes.
So what's in your word? What did you just want to talk about overall?
Let's see. Tulip's still going to the Hurt Locker.
Yeah, not surprised, right?
I thought she got it out of her.
Well, no, she hasn't, and I'm not quite sure what it's going to take.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna go get shot in the chest a couple of times and have that sort of immersion therapy and get over the her interaction with the cowboy, but I guess not. Like, I don't know what it's gonna take to snap her out of this.
Yeah, I don't know. And does it go back to more than just the cowboy? Is it? I don't know.
I almost wonder if she can feel that he's not truly gone, because she asked Jesse if, he's really gone. Mm-hmm. And, Jesse said something that, well, he won't be bothering us anymore or something, I sent him something.
He gave a non-answer.
Yeah, yeah. And so I almost feel that she can, just because she was touched by him, she can still somehow feel that it's not, she's still not safe,
So maybe for Tulip to be completely done with this storyline, the cowboy has to come back and there has to be
a final resolution for him.
Some sort of resolution.
Has to be sent back to hell or obliterated or whatever you do with the Saint of Killers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have anything?
Well, I totally loved the song that Cassidy was singing.
Okay.
And I looked it up because I was trying to figure out if it was really a song or not. And It turns out that it's a song called Charlotte the Harlot.
Yes.
But it doesn't have exactly the same lyrics that Cassidy was singing, but it's pretty much the same song.
No, and it's to the tune of Sweet Betsy of Pike.
Which is probably the tune that Cassidy was singing, right?
Yeah. So, but that came. Dennis was born in 1946,
and I looked that up for our numbers.
Okay, I didn't. Good. I was just noticing I didn't look that number up.
I did.
So, Sweet Betsy of Pike it came out in 1963. So it was, almost 2 decades after.
Well, unless you're a 119-year-old Irish vampire, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. Maybe Cassidy wrote it and he held it until 1963 and then released it.
Maybe. He should be getting some of that Metallica money then too, because it's Charlotte the Harlot is also sung by Metallica.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yep. That's funny.
Well, so I also enjoyed his reference to the Celtic Sandman, the drink. So what did he say? Did he say a little bit of honey or a little bit of holly? Did you catch it?
I think it was honey, because
so
isn't holly
honey, whiskey, and a couple of
drops of rat poison.
Yes, grains of rat poison.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you couldn't add holly to that mixture. I think the rat poison is supposed to be the stuff that knocks you out.
Well, like I said on my Facebook page, a round of Celtic Sandman for everyone.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So, Cassidy called Seamus.
Yes, he did make contact with his brother again.
Yeah. And so we had talked about that, that there's some mysterious cabal of vampires out there,
Right.
and are we gonna see anything from them again? So, he called him again.
Well, obviously Seth was listening to you.
Yeah.
He was like, I just have to get that t-shirt.
But nothing really came of it, I like the little quip where Cassidy's like, I have a son, and Seamus is like, I'm sure you have dozens of them. So now we know that vampires have human offspring.
Which I'm still not quite sure how that all works.
Yeah, you would think they would be some sort of hybrid, and they'd be like
Blade.
Like succubus or something.
I kind of like the idea of them being like kick-ass warriors like Blade.
Daywalkers.
Yeah.
So you'd live forever, but you could still go to the beach.
Right on.
Yeah. I also loved the kind of nod to Best Buy.
Oh, right. What are the dork docs or the
dork docs?
Yeah.
Instead of
the Geek Squad.
Yeah. And I loved the guys thought that Preacher was trying to see if his snuff video could be traced.
Right.
It was like, no, I really do want to trace it.
And it's really not me. I'm not the shooter.
Yeah. But I thought that was one of my things on the episode was I thought that was like a whole lot of time to spend
just sitting there
on nothing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we as the viewer saw that the disc said property of Grail Industries.
Right.
But Preacher will never know that. It was shredded. And, he was sitting around and those big TVs were flashing Grail Industries and things like that, like it was Monsanto or something, Seriously, that's what the advertisements reminded me of, was like Monsanto advertisements or advertisements for, I'm going to get a little political, the Koch brothers I see there. And it shows like wheat fields and children playing in a playground and, all these other things, a scientist looking through a, microscope. And it was just very Shutterstocky, picturesque. And so, that they're evil. I mean, just from their, advertisements alone that look like Koch Industries or Monsanto or things like that, Grail Industries is evil.
So do you think Jesse will remember at some point that he kind of saw that out of the corner of his eye?
I don't know. He kind of has to be hit over the head with it, doesn't he?
Yeah, Jesse's not very good at not picking up what's not obvious.
Yeah.
Or at picking up what's not obvious, rather.
Yeah, so I really think that he's going to have a run-in with Hair Star before he starts picking up what they're putting down.
Well, and we talked about that thing that said that they have kind of parallel stories or similar stories, so I think we're going to see that.
Right. And our last episode, episode 7, Pig, the episode previous to that, I said there was an inside joke in Pig, and I forgot to mention what it was.
Oh, okay, what was it?
So when Hair Star went to the little Vietnamese village that had the floating pig, a little boy ran up to greet him, and the boy was wearing a 2017 Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl championship shirt.
Oh, God, that's so funny.
So
we know what happened to all of those T-shirts.
Okay, so for those of you who do not follow sports, The Atlanta Falcons were absolutely murdered in that Super Bowl. It wound up being 28-3 with the New England Patriots winning. So what happens is both sets of merchandise are printed and just the winners are sold. The losers, their T-shirts and memorabilia get, recycled or shipped off to other countries for charitable organizations. And so you always see like little kids in Africa wearing like,
God, that's horrible.
well, and that's what I was. What was the chick in the '80s who used to, you could save a child with your 2 cents a day, blah blah blah.
Oh, I totally remember what you're talking about, but I can't for the life of me remember which starlet it was.
Yeah, you could symbolically adopt this child and they were always wearing like the 2017 Atlanta Falcons NFL Super Bowl championship. Like they were always wearing those kind of
some equivalent of that.
Yeah, and they of course they had no idea what it meant or anything like that. So that I don't know if anyone on the show it was an obvious mocking to the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't know if any of the showrunners or anything were Patriots fans and they had to get their little dig in against the Falcons. But that was the little Easter egg that was in episode 7, Pig.
So I'm also wondering, speaking of inside jokes, if Seth Rogen is going to use this as an opportunity to show us a recent arrival to hell, like, I don't know, maybe Roger Ailes or something like that.
I would absolutely not put it past him.
Neither would I. He'd get another hate tweet from Sarah Palin.
He'd get more than just Sarah Palin hate tweeting him.
Right.
But, no press is bad press. So I will be.
That sounds very Breitbartian.
Well, I do believe that a certain president did say it at one point that, there is no such thing as bad press because you're getting press, So I think that, the controversy may have, put Preacher on some people's maps.
Well,
and
it certainly generated a little bit of traffic to our website that we haven't seen, or to our Facebook page that we haven't seen.
Right. And hopefully part of that was the boosted post.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So welcome if we have any new listeners.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hopefully you like what you hear. Give us a like, give us a share. Contact us on Facebook.
Listen to Biters if you follow The Walking Dead.
Yes. We Biters, we have another host with us, and sometimes we have some guest hosts that are absolutely a riot. So if you are a Walking Dead fan, that's an excellent podcast for you to listen to.
So I think I'm ready to get into some numbers.
Me too.
Marnell's biblical numerology corner.
Numerology Bible study.
There you go. I knew you had a name for it. I just blew it.
I think it's the like numerology hour or numerology in the Bible hour. Or something.
No, I think numerology Bible study. I think that was.
Yeah. I can't remember what I called it. I need to go back and listen to old episodes again.
So what numbers did you get?
So I got 20 and 10, which were the volumes on when they taped the caveman to the TV, the fire on the TV.
Good job. I didn't get those.
We've gone over those in prior episodes. I do recognize those from my other notes. So I'm going to skip over that one. When Hitler tricks Eugene into doing something nice, and everyone looks up at the camera, and then you see somebody looking at the CCTV footage. There's a clock in the upper right hand corner, and it's at 1917-52. So what I came up with was Proverbs 19. I tried 19, I'm sorry, I tried 17 and not a lot came up, but it didn't seem to really jive. But Proverbs 19, there was a bunch of lines in it that kind of worked for the scene that it was actually on, because we were looking at Eugene and hell being nice, and not meaning to be, and trying to curry favor with the guards and things like that. So some of them that I came up in Proverbs 19 was a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free.
Oh, that's perfect.
Many curry favor with a ruler, and everyone is a friend of one who gives gifts. A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will perish. And then so I went to Proverbs 19, verse 17, chapter 19, verse 17. Whoever is kind to the poor leads the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done.
Well, that certainly speaks to just the whole structure in hell, and Eugene, and the fact that maybe anyone who tries to escape with Eugene isn't going to be successful.
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free. Yeah, so that one kind of like gave me the chills. So I was like, we'll go with that. Because, as a scholar said today, I read an article today, he said you need to take the Bible was not meant literally, so you have to interpret it. So what were your numbers?
Well, so I did get 1946. So that was the year that Man's Search for Meaning was written by Viktor Frankl, who just died.
Ah.
Which is really good. It's actually a book about surviving in a concentration camp and kind of the person that Viktor Frankl became because of it. Let's see.
Wow.
It was also the first time that a reference to homosexuality was explicitly published in an English translation of the Bible, which I think has nothing to do with nothing, but I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting.
And then Luke 19:46 reads, "It is written," he said to them, "My house will be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves."
Ooh.
Which I thought takes us back to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, back to hell.
So we also got some numbers of some of the inmates.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so the guy who is such a douche, I can't remember what his name is.
Tyler.
Okay, Tyler's number is 72. Which I think we've looked at this before. Disciples sent forth by Jesus. There were 72 disciples sent forth. The number of languages at the Tower of Babel, and the number of races descending from Noah.
I think we have looked at that before.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I wanted to add about Tyler while we're on the subject that I forgot was, so when everyone was telling why they were in hell.
Right, we found out what he was there for and what 50s lady was there for too.
Yes. So do you remember why I hated Tyler so badly?
Well, you said he was in that Netflix series.
So he was in the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. And in the show, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, he does rape 2 girls. And it is kind of a date rapey situation.
Oh, how perfect. Well, that wasn't an accident then.
Right? And so his crime for being in hell is date raping 4 girls. So we saw 2 of them. It was just in a different show.
Interesting.
So I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if that's from the comics or what, but that had to be kind of a nod to his prior
to the character. Sure. Absolutely.
Because I think I said it before in the previous podcast where I was like, I just get this date rapey feel about him, and he was this horrible guy in 13 Reasons, and now we know that is exactly why he is in hell.
Well, and 50's woman set her children on fire.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Like, I knew it had to be something horrendous. Oh,
well, so we got a couple of other numbers for people from hell. So the samurai looking dude, the guy in the man bun,
mm-hmm.
so his number was 81. And I think the reference that it probably relates to the most is that there's a Japanese fable called 81 Brothers.
Ooh.
So I kind of wondered if that wasn't where it came from, but also it's a number of humanitarianism. But here's something interesting too. So remember that Heil Hitler HH was 88?
Right.
Well, 81 is Hell's Angels. It's a symbol for the
Oh,
Hell's Angels because of HA, number
right.
8, letter number 8 and letter number 1 in the alphabet.
Right.
And
Huh.
then the girl who looks like she's a flapper,
Uh-huh.
her number was 22. And it's double 11, and biblically that stands for disorder and chaos, which is perfect in hell, right?
I do we remember what her crime was?
I don't remember what her crime was. Did they tell us?
Well, okay, so there's a woman there that kind of has like a scarf around her head and she's kind of got this dreadlocky look. But I think that they refer to Flapper Girl as the gypsy. And I thought the other lady was like a gypsy, and that was, she was kind of a witch heretic type. That's why she's in hell type thing.
Uh,
And so I think that they're referring to the flapper as kind of a fortune teller.
oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that was her, what we could perceive as her crime to get her into hell.
Well, and the other thing, and I think this definitely relates just to the overall concept of preacher. So in the Hebrew alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet is comprised of 22 letters, which are then used to compose the word of God.
Right. I
So
think
that's
we've talked about this
the
before.
importance of 22, biblically speaking.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know that I didn't run across any other numbers, but I had to laugh. The guy who's hanging out with Laura Featherstone, our
Mm-hmm.
Grail agent, his name is Hoover, which I think when you think about the FBI
Yes.
and Hoover, that's
Yes.
really funny.
That is really funny. Huh.
That's all I've got.
Yeah, I think that's all I had. Yeah.
I think next time, I don't remember what it's called.
The next episode?
Yeah.
It is la 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 puzzle pieces.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Jesse gets a much needed breakthrough in his search for God. Tulip continues to spiral.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Um so yeah, that's I think where we're going. Puzzle pieces.
Well, hopefully we'll get to that this week.
Yep.
All right. Well,
It's closing time.
I
One
am
last
not
call
singing
for
with you.
alcohol. I would say that I couldn't be any worse than Eugene and Tracy, but yes, I absolutely could. And we have a new foster dog tonight, and she'd probably start howling. So
Instead, just finish your whiskey and beer.
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Oh my
Oh,
god. Oh.
so much fun. This is why we do this.
All right, Cass.
All right.
To the end of the world.
Till the end of the world.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Stay safe, Texas and the South.
Yup. And America, if you can, send a little cash their way.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Left his body